Gonna be perfect. All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Caps and Conversations, where we like to talk about life, ambition, and business. And it's been a great week. This past week, got a lot of things done on a personal level because I've been working with a few different people. I just finished up a project for a client who was looking to practically rebrand their business and have a new sense of a digital presence online. So that was really, really exciting. The launch went very, very well. No problems, no strings attached. Everything just went off without a hitch. Um, and then now working with the new client, it's very cool because like the one thing that really makes a difference are people that are out there trying to make a difference in the world. And it's very unfortunate at times when we have to go through that turmoil in order to gain awareness and be more thoughtful about other individuals who have kind of fallen into that same space, um, and then like to bring themselves out and to find means to help out other people who have fallen into those situations. So this client that I'm working with now is building a nonprofit that specifically targets or helps out those people in distress that are in a domestic situation. And a lot of times when there's a cry for help for those people, they are not always welcomed 100% into different domestic violence shelters, specifically talking about like their pets. So they get stuck in between, like should I stay with my aggressor to be there for my pets, or leave and risk my pets being in danger by the aggressor. So it's a cool charity, that it's going to, I think, help out a lot of people because unfortunately, you know, the way that our society is built, the way that things are going on in this world, um, it's unfortunate. It's really sad that situations like this happen, and a lot of times, the violence escalates into you know murder, and it gets that way. Like we've seen a bunch of things on the news and Netflix specials, and it's sad. It's sad, but I'm really happy that there's um, programs and people taking the step forward to make it better, to make something better. Today we have a very, very special guest. His name is Mark Coope. I've known him for the better part of a year, I want to say. When I started my whole thing, I was really eager to get a Facebook group going, and Mark was gracious enough to become a moderator in that group, and he's helped out a lot. So we're gonna get into his story and learn more about him in just 1 second. So I think that we'll bring up. All right, we'll bring up Mark right now. Mark, how's it going?
Hi, it's going great. Thanks, Bob. How are you?
Very good, thanks. Thank you so very much for participating with the cap. Really, really appreciate it. Your hat looks phenomenal.
I don't normally wear that. Yeah, I'd just like to say a big thank you to yourself for letting me on the this show, and also to all your listeners and all your viewers throughout the world who are tuning in. I hope you have an enjoyable experience, shall we say?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, if you don't mind, I really want to just like dive in because one of the things that I've noticed um, on your Facebook page is what you have at the very, very, very beginning, like your Facebook banner, and it reads, "I know what it's like to feel burnt out, weighed down by guilt, and trapped by anxiety." So that's like a really, really dense statement. Like it's really filled with a lot of pockets, I would imagine. and I would love to like just like unpack that and see exactly where it's all at for you. So if we were to take the first part, feeling burnt out, like what does that mean to you? Where did that come from? Where did that in your soul, in your heart, where did that resonate from?
It's it's sort of like, hmm, yeah, it's a bad story. Um, let's jump right into my story, and then I'll go on to what. Yeah, I was quite successful in life. I played rugby. I played amateur rugby league for about 20 years, and then when I'd finished playing rugby, I took up the genteel art of Japanese jiu-jitsu, traditional Japanese jiu-jitsu, which I got my black belt. It's a 4 year program from starting to black belt. Is a 4 year program, and I got my black belt in 2.5 years
Oh wow, that's a
because I
huge
was
accomplishment.
focused. That this
Yeah,
should
yeah.
That's something I didn't realize at the time, and since I've started on online and working as an online coach, realize that once you decide to do something, nothing stands in your way.
Correct.
Nothing stands in your way. During that time, when I was lectured a couple of weeks before my black belt, I met Rachel, and we subsequently ended up getting married 18 months later or so. Well, that was just unfortunately she came in just at the back end of what was a total focus for me. Nothing else existed. Um, then life was brilliant. Life was brilliant up until 2016. That's when everything fell apart. I had a successful business. I'm a HP design jet engineer. I was successful business. I was running a successful jiu-jitsu club, teaching around about 20, 30 students a week, jiu-jitsu. Um, I had a fantastic wife. I had a fantastic family. I had 3 great kids. 2 came with Rachel. 2, but they were young when they did. We took them on. We raised them. We hadn't at the time. We didn't have any grandchildren at the time. We've now got 3.5.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But that was just immaterial because the kids were brilliant. The kids were living at home and everything was good and things were going good.
Well,
Me and
let's
my
let's back
wife,
up for 1 second.
yeah,
Like you when you say that you had like your own business, now what was it in again?
HP design jets.
Okay.
Basically, big
Yeah, break
printers.
it down. Break it down.
Right.
Okay.
A design jet is basically a printer, but it's a printer that could be anything from 24 inches wide to 60 inches wide.
Okay.
So when you see printers, when you see an architect, a builder with a drawing like this,
Yeah.
a blueprint, I work on the printers. A design jet creates them drawings.
Okay. So you were the manufacturer of those design
No,
jets, or you
no,
just
no.
married the client to the product?
Hewlett Packard with the manufacturer. I used to be
Okay.
I used to be a design jet engineer working for Hewlett Packard,
Okay. Okay.
and then
Okay.
I decided to start my own business doing that. You see. So
Fantastic.
that was
All
great
right.
fun. I mean, design jets are so messy and so inky. You get full of ink all the time. It's brilliant. I love it. I just love being messy. You know,
All right, but thank you for providing clarity on that.
no
When
problem.
when you said HP Design Jet, I was thinking that like, are you working on like a frame for Airbus or
No,
Boeing?
no, 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 nothing that clever.
All right, no, but I mean, still, there's a lot of intricacies I would imagine when it comes to design jets.
Yeah, the great fun. The good fun to work on, and it's I enjoy it because I've been a field engineer all my life from leaving college with a degree in electronic engineering way back in the depths of time when I was 20 years old. That was if I would have said that was 10 years ago, I'd be telling a lie. It was more like 40. It was more like 44 years ago
Right.
to be in
All right.
a computer engineer in when a 64 megabyte disk drive was about the size of a filing cabinet and weighed around about 250
Yeah.
pounds and took 2 years to carry. That,
So you've gotten the experience of the design jets and starting your own business with that, and it was successful.
yeah, it was
So
going well. It was going
Rachel,
really well. was quite
Rachel came
great.
into your life, built up your family from there,
Yeah.
and then what?
And then, I enjoyed work. I enjoyed going out every day. I enjoyed family life. I'd started this jiu-jitsu club. Well, I bought this jiu-jitsu club. I really enjoyed training kids and adults in jiu-jitsu. Um, we've today we've only we trained 17 people to black belt, which is good, but not as good as it should have been. I think just like everybody else in the world, we lost a lot of traction during COVID. In
Yeah.
fact, during the COVID year, we should have had 15 students going for black belt that year, but subsequently only five of them took it the year after. But we're
Okay.
building up again. Next year we've got nine people going for black belt next year, so we've got some traction going again. Um, yeah, everything was good. I'm a fairly relaxed kind of guy. I'm fairly easygoing. Yeah, I played a really nasty sport, a violent sport in rugby league. I played jiu-jitsu's not exactly genteel, but on the outside, when you get in the real life, I'm the sort of guy who'll stop and let someone come through. I'll open up the door for a girl, for a lady, for a bloke, for anybody. I don't matter.
Yeah.
I like to be courteous. But we went out for a night out to a friend's 60th birthday. Myself, my wife, and Heather, our eldest daughter, which was brilliant night, fantastic night. Just celebrating a friend's 60th birthday because we were all getting there at that stage. Until I got home, because we left our youngest, who was 14 at the time, we left her at home with four of her girlfriends. So for a scary movie and pizza night, why did you
Okay.
do that? Why do you girls watch scary movies? That's a question to everybody. Why do you do that? I want to near a scary movie, mate. Good old Monty Python or something like that, but a scary movie, no, 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 no.
Yeah, yeah. They like the thrill, I guess. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know.
So we got home, and there was about 20 or 30 people milling about on the driveway of the house.
So many.
Curious. Yeah. So I got out of the car, I got out of the taxi, and politely asked what's going on here, and got a bottle smashed over my head from behind.
No.
X marks the spot.
Oh no.
So I ended up on the floor. I got up to turn around to confront this guy, and I'm back on the floor again. Someone has smashed a bottle over my head from behind again, the back of the head, this back
That's
corner.
insane.
Yeah, I got up again. I wasn't going down. I wasn't going down the third time. All hell broke loose. All hell broke loose. I totally lost control of everything. Everything I believed in, I just lost control, and I just.
So what? There wasn't any rhyme or reason as to why you were attacked. It just happened.
We think what had happened is what had happened is one of the girls who was with Shannon, the daughter, had phoned a boyfriend who'd phoned his mates. They'd all gate crashed the house, bailed into the house, started turning things up, stealing things, nicking all the, as we were saying earlier
Oh
about
my
the single malt
goodness.
whiskies. Also,
Yeah.
they stole about 2 dozen bottles of wine, about half a dozen, about 10 bottles of single malt. In fact, it was what they hit me with. The bottles they hit me were mine. That's
Wow.
the ultimate in insult.
Absolutely.
So, anyway, I got fixed up, went to the hospital, got fixed up, along with about six of them. I'm a big guy. I'm 6 foot tall. I was about 19 stone at the time. I played rugby league. When I say 19 stone, around about 240 pound. I played rugby league. I've been used to taking hits on a weekly basis. I've been used to people hitting me on a daily basis, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I mean that's part of the game. If you can
Yeah, of
imagine, if you
course.
don't know what rugby league is, if you can imagine American football without the pads.
Yeah, no, I've been, lucky enough to catch it every once in a while. I'll be like flipping through the channels, and for some unknown forced reason, like I would get stuck on it because it's crazy to see and acknowledge the amount of violence that happens within a sport, and it's absolutely legal to do so.
Yeah,
I'm
some of it's
I'm
out.
gonna be completely honest with you though. I don't understand I don't understand. I understand the advancing of the ball. Is it
Uh,
called a ball?
yeah,
Okay, I understand the advancing of the ball, but I don't get, like, the only thing that I can compare it to is American football and what we would consider a field goal. Like when you guys have to like step off over to the side to try to kick in between the pylons. I don't. Is that an extra point?
no, that's 2 extra points, but you can only take a conversion, we call it. You can only take that in line of where you scored the try. So if you scored a try at the side of the post, you take your kick from back from that point. If you score it on the edge of the field, you take it back from that point.
Oh my
So you could be
gosh.
the sidelines.
Yeah, but that like that increases like like American football. It's like it's almost dead on. Like
Yeah,
you have all this space, but when you change trajectory like that, you're really narrowing the possibility of making the ball through the
yeah.
pylons.
You change your angles. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
No, that's
crazy.
that's Triple League. So I was I was used to being itchy, we say. I mean, I went to the hospital and there was. It sounds really strange, this, because I was covered in cuts and bruises and I was bruised to bits. My body was bruised to bits, my arms, my legs, my head. But there was no damage. There was no serious damage. There was no concussion. I hit on the head with 2 bottles, for goodness sake, and there was no concussion. There was nothing wrong with me. The doctor's saying, like, well, apart from I look like a scene from The Elephant Man, the doctor was saying, we should be operating now. What's going on here? Why aren't we operating? So that was probably from the rugby league days. So anyway, I got home and the physical injuries came down with like nice and tidy. They went one way. But as the physical injuries went one way, the mental trauma went the other.
Oh,
That spiraled out of control. And this is where then I developed severe PTSD. I became virtual recluse. I just became such a nasty person. My personality changed. I became aggressive. Everything I wasn't. And I just this is where the burnout from one point of view, because work was all right. I was coping. I was enjoying that. But all of a sudden, I hated it. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to talk to people. I didn't want to talk to my wife. And I did what most men did. I knew I had a problem. I knew I had a problem. I knew I needed help. But I was damn sure I wasn't going to ask for help because I'm a bloke and I'm tough and I can sort this out myself. That was the biggest mistake I made in my life.
that is a very, very, like powerful statement there because you're absolutely right. Most men in the world just they try to handle things on their own without having like a full understanding and grasp of what damage not only that happened to them but that they continue to do without looking for help.
Yeah, I
what
mean,
pushed you what pushed you to the point to get help? I'm assuming you got help.
oh yeah, I got help. I got help. Well, that was 6 years later. 6 years later, when I virtually destroyed my life, I virtually destroyed my wife, I virtually destroyed my family, I certainly destroyed my business because I didn't care. I didn't care. By this time, towards the end of the 6 years, we had a grandson. We had our first grandchild, and yeah, I enjoyed his company. I enjoyed interacting with him. I enjoyed, but you know what? I didn't see him. I didn't see him as a person. I was just something else. What made me change? What made me ask for help? When I was stood on the table in the dojo with a rope around my neck, I realised something was wrong. I was one step away. At that stage, I knew I needed help. I knew I had to do something. But even then, I didn't. Even then, I still fought it. Even then, I was still being pig-headed and male egocentric. It wasn't until I went to the doctors one morning in January, 15th of January, 2024 last year, that I walked into the doctor's surgery with myself, my wife. The doctor was there as a young female doctor, and a young female doctor's assistant. 3 women, 3 ladies.
Yeah.
finished our niceties. How you doing? I'm all right. How are you doing? Yeah, we're okay. It was a nice day. Yeah. What's go- so? How you doing? That was a question. How you doing? That were it. Breakdown. Mental breakdown. In the middle of the doctor's surgery in front of three women. Sat on the floor. This 6 foot tall jiu-jitsu black belt alpha male sat on the floor in a big heap, crying like a baby for 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's perfectly understandable. Like that's like how long have you had suffered? How what 6 years,
6
7 years,
years. 6 years. Yeah.
6 years holding on to that
Mhm.
guilt, to that. No, it's an extremely vulnerable moment. Like the fact that you lasted so long without having a breakdown before is amazing.
Yeah, resilience, but it, I, look, when you stand on the table and you got a rope around your neck, you know there's something wrong. You know you've got to do something. But to even at that point still resist doing something, still resist asking for help because you can handle it yourself,
Hmm.
then you've got to seriously question what is going on in your life. There are things you can change and you need to change. So to, I walked out the doctor's surgery in shame, embarrassed, and just totally silent. I got home. I said to Rachel, I said, I'm going to bed. I'll be down shortly. And I went upstairs and I locked myself in my room or our room. And I just decided, I made the decision then at that stage that something had to change. Something had to change. So I must have been there for like 3 hours, just figuring out, fighting demons. I got up, I walked downstairs, I walked into the kitchen, I said to Rachel, I'm not living my life like this anymore, and you don't need to either. Things are going to change. And she just looked at me like it was a matter of fact and said, go for it, babe.
That's
What
awesome.
can I do then? It was as simple as that.
Yeah.
So, welcome back to the world. Suddenly, the sun shone brighter. Suddenly, I had a grandchild. I had a grandson. He was there. Whoa, where did you come from? It was virtually that, Bob. I mean, it was like lights had come on or whatever. Something had happened. Something. Well, I changed. My mindset changed. It was like a switch. It's like a switch coming on. But I was far from out of the woods. I was still emotional. I was still having anxiety attacks. I had to deal with them. So the first thing I did was phone the doctors and said, "Can you get me some help?" So they put me in touch with some therapists, and I was in therapy. I was in therapy for 8 months. I also realised I had to do something with my life, and because my business was actually flatlined, so I had to do something to get some money coming in. Um, so I decided to start an online business again because, like most other people, I'd had several before and jumped from one shiny object to the next like a mad
Yeah.
roll ball, squash ball, bang, bang, bang,
we
getting
speak
nowhere.
about that we speak about that almost every episode, the shiny object syndrome effect.
Yeah, I was like an epileptic pool ball just bouncing around.
Yeah.
And I stumbled across this kid, this kid in Kenya, a little kid in Kenya. He was about 15. He wasn't about 15. He was a bit older than that. He was just some skinny kid in Kenya. He said, "Oh, you're doing this all wrong. You need to do it this way." Who were you to tell me how to do things? Attitude.
Yeah.
So you know what? He sent me some information. And he said, "Well, if you don't have a look at this," so he sent me some information over. I read it, and it sort of like made sense. And he said, "And if you think still interested, talk to this guy." So I spoke to this guy, Matt, who's been my mentor ever since.
All right. So what's the program? What did Matt do? What was it?
Initially, what did Matt do? Um, well, first of all, he stuck around because I tried my best to get rid of him. I literally did. I tried my best to get rid of him. I just said, look, you know, you don't want to get involved with me. I'm broken goods. I'm damaged goods. I've got a long way to go, and I've got, you know, I don't trust people. I don't trust this. I don't trust that. And, you know, and I can do this on my own. But he just stuck around and said, oh, well, come to this meeting and come to this and come to that and come to the other. And eventually he started opening up my trust. And he said, you know, you're doing things wrong. And he did one thing that most people haven't done. And he said, just write your story down. Write your story down. Why are you at this point? How did you get there?
Hmm.
And that was my story in brief, in a nutshell. So just write it down. Give us some details. You know, just get it down on paper. And the funny thing is, it's the effect just putting the problem down on paper has, or on screen. It doesn't matter on paper or on screen. It's
Oh,
amazing the effect it has internally as soon as you put that information on an external format, external
it's
medium.
it's a transference of energy because
Yeah,
you are no longer holding all of that. You know, you can
yeah,
speak it out into the world and stuff, but I've always been like, you know, an advocate for putting things down on paper, because without that, like without making a plan, or just expressing yourself on a sheet of paper and lead or pen or ink, whatever, you know, everything stays bottled up, and nothing gets put into fruition to where you now have a detailed example of where it is you want to go next. You're consumed by everything, and you just can't go anywhere because it's still all stuck within you. But once you put it down on paper, it opens you up. Like you have it set aside now, it opens you up to have like ideas, thoughts, a path to take to make things happen.
yeah.
So where did it go from there?
Well, plus I was getting the therapy, which was coming from a different angle. So I had one side with Matt who was saying do this, do, and but the therapy side of things was explaining why. Because I'm an engineer, and engineers we can be really boring people. We like to know how things work. So they were explaining how, you know, how your mind works, how the mind works, and how the three sections of the mind, the hippocampus, the amygdala, and the frontal lobe, the prefrontal, how they interact with each other, and why I'm having this problem, why I'm having the anxiety attacks, why I'm having that. And all of a sudden I started understanding my body. They said one thing or another. They said, why don't you write a letter to the people who attack you? Well, I don't know their addresses. I don't know who they are. I told you I'm pretty dumb at times. So they said, write it as a third party. Just write it to them. Dear Bob, for example, this is what happened on the night of. I can't understand why. And just put everything down, all your thought process. Put your
Yeah.
thought process about what you feel about them. They said, and just do it, just write it as a one letter, but the one letter to all of them. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, there was only about 20 of them attacked me, so it wasn't too bad. I didn't fancy writing 20 letters, to be honest, Bob. So I did that. And the funny thing was, the start of the letter is full of vitriol and venom and anger and really nasty things that I wanted to do to them.
Hmm.
By the end of the letter, as you can see the letter, it's that where you can see the letter is it starts off in capitals and anger, and by the time I get to the bottom, it just calms. It was amazing. It had just gone really calm, and I just basically I finished the letter something along the lines. I'm not going to wish you any luck in the world, but I hope you do get yourself sorted out. My life is going to move on now, but unless you change, the worst thing in life will happen, and you'll probably end up in prison. You
Yeah.
can still change, and that's how I finished. That's how I finished. Oh, the start of it, I wanted to pull the guy's fingernails out. Sounds horrible, that done it. But you know what I mean? It started and then it finished.
Yes.
Where I just said
Yes.
to him, I said, I'm never going to forgive you. I'm never going to forget or forgive what's gone on. I said, but seriously, from your own point of view, this is not the way anyone should live their lives, doing this sort of thing, doing this. You need to change. You need to settle down and grow up. And that's how I left it. It was like, you know what? I had to put big shoes on when I went out, otherwise I'd have floated off. I felt that light.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. That is
That's
awesome.
how I felt.
It's great. It's great when you're able to do that. Unfortunately, you had to make that letter out to, like, 20 different people, but it's the
It was
more
only
that you
one, it
would
was
write
generic.
it, yeah, the more that you would write it out, I'm sure that the easement of the pen from the paper surface was like catching lightness throughout
Yeah,
the letters that you were writing.
it was amazing because I felt really stupid doing it, to be honest with you. I thought, it was like that.
Hmm.
What am I doing this for?
Yeah.
And then it was like calm and serene at the end. It was unbelievable.
But it all goes in turn to, like, when you trust the process, trusting it's a process that you were completely unfamiliar with.
Absolutely.
But yeah, but once you were told by someone, like, look, this is the way it works, and this is what's going to help you, and you believed in that, look at what you got. You
Yeah.
got that weight lifted off of your shoulders.
The hardest bit, the hardest bit was actually opening up and saying, I have a problem, I need help. And then to actually write your own story down. And another exercise I did was I wrote it as the first person singular. I did another, wrote my story as real time happening, real time occurrence, which was quite disturbing. But working with the two voices working together, what Matt was teaching me, what they were teaching me, my mind started changing. My mind just changed totally. I my mindset. I became. I started off initially. I wanted to online. I wanted to be an affiliate marketer. That's what I wanted. I wanted to learn affiliate marketing because I knew that was because we've all read the tells you can earn £250,000 in the next 25 minutes if you do
Hmm.
this, and
Hmm.
this. But
Yeah.
seriously, I wanted to learn affiliate marketing. But after listening to my story, Matt said that's the wrong channel for you. That is the wrong way to go. You need to get this story out there. You need to tell people. There are, and I didn't believe this at first. He said there are 1,000, probably hundreds, even millions of men in situations like you, with the same feelings, the same position like you, who don't know what to do, who are stuck, who want help but don't know how to ask for it. That is a major thing. It's not that we don't want help; we don't know how to ask for it. If we're lifting something heavy, we'll say, "Hey, mate, can you give me on with this?" Yeah, no problems. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
With mental problems, because we've been conditioned from being knee-high to grasshoppers to be strong, and big boys don't cry. Big boys don't cry. Yeah, they do. Big boys cry rivers. I did. I've probably cried a million tears over the last 7 years. I've probably cried enough to fill the Hoover Dam. You know, that is a fundamental flaw in the way people are brought up. And I'm not one of these advocates, there's something I don't want to go into. I'm not one of these advocates that boys should be boys and girls should be girls. I'm saying now, the way that blokes are taught, are conditioned to not show emotions. Because at the end of the day, there's an old saying in it, and this is just going slightly off piste, is who polices the police or who cares for the carers? Well, here's another one. Who cares for men when they have mental health issues?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll take that a step further. Who knows men have mental health issues? You know when a lady's got mental health issues, they'll talk about it because they're sensible. But us blokes, we don't. I lived a life for 6 years hidden from my wife, my family, my friends. I went up to my old rugby club and smiled. Three of my mates died during that time, and I went up to the wakes up at the rugby club. And in true rugby league fashion, we had a great time. And that sounds sad, doesn't it? But underneath, I was a wreck. I was a train wreck. I was fighting demons 24/7. I didn't sleep. 2 hours sleep a night maximum for 7 years. I went right into my shell. If it didn't move, I ate it. I took up comfort eating. I ate and ate and ate. I put on probably close to 150, 200 pounds in that time.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I just ate anything. It was my crutch. It was my support system. But the good news is, I've since lost about £100.
Congratulations, that's
Thank
great.
you. I've got a long way to go yet, but it's a work in progress. Who supports the men? Who helps the men? This the incident 7 years ago took me to hell and back, and almost ended with the sort of like deletion of my life by my own hands. But it also gave me purpose. It also provided purpose for me. I'm here now to help people in this situation. I've developed my program called the Survival to Significance program. I was going to call it Behind the Mask, but people are just surviving. There is so many men out there and ladies. I just can't connect with ladies the same way as I do men.
Of course.
But so many men out there that are saying, I can relate to this guy. I can relate to this guy. I'm not talking from a pedestal. I'm not talking from a textbook. I love this book, by the way.
What's
Anybody who
that?
wants to read this book, Psycho
Psycho
Cybernetics
cybernetics?
by Maxwell Maltz. Read that. I'm on my third time of reading it.
Awesome.
Incredible book. I'm not talking from that. I'm not looking down on people. I can't. How can someone who's almost took their own life look down on anybody? I'm talking from a point of view of where I were. I was there. I was in the pit. I was in that pit. But I found the way out. And it wasn't sunshine and roses coming out. It was a long, hard struggle. And it's a long, hard struggle. And I would have failed if I hadn't had the backup crew of the therapy sessions and my mentor and my wife and my family. I would have failed. I wouldn't have made it. That's what I want to do. I want to be that backup system for people. I want to show them. I want to help them. I want to say this, and it's not about ignoring it either. It's not about ignoring it. You can't just make yourself busy and forget about your cares and woes, because as soon as the noise of the day goes down and the night closes in, when everything's quiet, that's when this takes over. That's when the
Yeah.
demons come at you, and they come at you from every angle, and they are relentless, and they'll come at you constantly. Boom, 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 boom. You
Yeah.
fight one
It,
off, there's another
it's
one.
it's really hard to silence the mind,
Yeah,
especially when you have those demons that you're talking about. I find myself like, okay, I do sleep better at night nowadays, right?
yeah,
But
good.
there was a time, I I know that there's, like how you said, there's countless men out there that go through it, and there was a time in my life when I went through it as well. I would lay in bed after everything had happened that day, and to try and silence the mind is exhausting. It's exhausting all on its own. To be able to achieve that silence and serenity and quiet, that's a piece of heaven that we struggle to get to. To have that peace of mind, it's like buying insurance. To have that peace of mind is priceless. It's absolutely priceless.
Yeah, it is. That's what I want to do. That's what my program does. My program, we identify the problem and we don't run from it. The easiest thing is to run from it. And I can guarantee that spending time on the program, the first thing that someone's going to say to me when I ask them what do we need to fix, the first thing they'll ask me is just superficial. It's a surface wound. The second thing is superficial. The third thing, we have to really, really, really dig deep. And it's not a pleasant experience. When I first did it, I was actually in absolute floods of tears. It was so difficult to get down there, to get down. And I had to do it twice. I had to do it with my therapist and with Matt, and to actually get down to find the real problem. But once you're at that real problem, then you can start bringing it out to the surface. You can start prodding and poking it, because as soon as when you start prodding and poking a problem, you find an answer.
That is true. That is very, very true. Mark, I wanna thank you so very much for being able to hang out with us today. Like this has been eye opening, and unfortunately, it's been gut wrenching as well because what's happened to you is it's horrible. It's horrible. But the fact that you were able to find yourself and become you again, like I know your family missed you, and I'm sure that they are so glad to have you back.
I'm Yeah, I'm glad to be back.
That's great. So if you can drop the name of your program again, so we can get it
Yeah,
out there.
yeah. I'd just like to finish off if I can then, Bob. It's like to say, for all you men that are struggling, you're not weak. You're no less of a man just because you're feeling lost and you're feeling helpless. You're just human. We're all humans, and you're not alone. And if the conversation has struck a chord with you, then just reach out to me. You can find me on Facebook. Bob will put my Facebook profile on the screen. Just reach out to me. Let's talk. Talking is the first stage of resolution. You don't need to go into any detail. I'm not going to ask for your inside leg measurement or anything. We're just going to talk, because once we start talking, we can find the problem. And once we find the problem, we can then move to find a resolution. That's all we do. Nothing more, nothing more, nothing less. Just find a resolution so you can move on and get your life back on track. But please, please don't go down the road I did. Don't go down the road I did, because that was leading to destruction. And I knew if I hadn't changed, I wouldn't be here now. That was quite simple. If I hadn't changed when I did, the other side of me would have taken control. So it's time to continue your evolution and become the person you need to be. Start now. Let's talk.
That's awesome. Thank you again, Mark. Really, really appreciate that. What was the name of the program again?
The program is called Survival to Significance. I'll take you from survival mode into a mode of significance, a mode where you want to be and where you are.
Survival to Significance.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Excellent.
Just
So
reach out.
when is your program drop?
It will be dropping very soon. It's actually all done, and it'll be dropping very soon. It's it's more of a online talking sessions
Yeah.
with interaction from there. I'm ready to go. People want to talk to me about it. Just drop me a DM. Just drop me a DM in profile. They can drop me an email. Have you got my email address?
I do have your email address. I have it in my email, of course.
Do
But
you want me to?
we'll pop that in. As a matter of fact, I'm going to invite you to please go to our Facebook group, Caps and Conversations, and make a post on your offer by all means.
Okay.
It's something that needs to be seen by men everywhere or anybody anywhere. Because this program sounds like it's going to be, a game changer for a lot of people before they take that step that there is no coming back from.
Yeah.
So,
It's initially a 3 month program, but I'll work with people as long as they need to. I'm
of
prepared to work
course,
with people as long if they need 4 months, they need 5 months. It doesn't matter, as long as we get to the resolution and the transformation they need. That is exactly what I do. What I'm prepared
perfect,
to
perfect. So, Mark, I'm going to drop you off in the back room here. Hang out for just a bit, and
do. Okay.
we'll be meeting back up again. Everybody, this is Mark Coope. Be sure to look for him on Facebook, and we'll see you here in just a bit, Mark.
Okay. Thanks so much, folks, for listening. I hope you had a great time and have a fantastic weekend.
Thank you again. So this is amazing. Like this is I'm here trying to maintain my composure because it's crazy to know that such random acts of violence actually exist out there, and it's unbelievable that such malice exists out in the world when we're supposed to be like helping each other out. It turns to like some blatant act of, I don't even want to get into it any further. But Mark is definitely a survivor of more than just what he's gone through, and the fact that he's able to be there to be there and develop a program for people that have gone through similar stresses, and it's great. It's great. So again, I'm inviting you, Mark, and anybody who's out there listening to check out our Captain Conversations group. You'll see Mark's promotion for his program there shortly. I'm sure that it'll be available, sooner than later. And like he said, he's got it all tied up and bows and ribbons and ready to present it to the world. So, unfortunately, we didn't have Lamont with us today. He had a conflict of schedule. As you guys know, he is a coach, so he's coaching America. I love saying this. He's coaching American football in Germany. He's got a couple of wins underneath his belt so far for his team. So we're rooting for him from here from the states, hoping that he gets another win and gets it clinched in today. So we will see you all next week again. I'm Bob G from Caps and Conversations, reminding you to, keep the conversations going with your caps on. And as always, we're here talking about life, ambition, and business. So until next time, we'll see you again and have a great weekend, everybody.